I've been known to drink an old-fashioned or two, usually with other fragrance YouTubers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Great drink, it's classy, it's sophisticated, and it gets you sozzled. I love an old-fashioned, so when I heard that one of my favourite niche brands, Kilian, was releasing in their liquors collection a fragrance called Old Fashioned, I was hella excited. I've got it right here. I'm going to unbox this and let you know what I think of it. If you've never had an old fashioned, if you don't know what it tastes like, let me tell you so you've got some idea of what this fragrance might smell like. It's Scotch whiskey or bourbon with soda water and then bitters. Bitters have a sharp, herbal, fruity, spicy taste just to add some complexity to the drink. And then it's usually garnished with a slice of orange, so you do get some of that orange seeping into the drink. So I would expect something a little orangey, not overwhelmingly orangey, but just a little hint of orange in there. Obviously with lots of booziness because the main component of an old-fashioned is whiskey. Did get a little bit of that in one of the other Kilian liquors releases, Angel Share, the ever popular Angel Share. I do get a little bit of the candied orange, candied fruits kind of smell to this, but I expect that this will be much sweeter, more indulgent, more decadent than what I expect old-fashioned to smell like. The other thing I've heard is that it could be a rebranding of Kilian's single malt, which is a great fragrance, very popular. So I'm gonna open this, smell it, and then test it directly against a sample of single malt that I have to let you know if it is the exact same fragrance or if we've got something new. So let's get into it. Here it is. I gotta tell you, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I've been checking the internet literally every day to see if this has been released. Finally get to find out if this fragrance is as good as other Kilian fragrances and if it's as good as the drink itself. It's in the same style of bottle as Angel Share, very classy. Really like these bottles, very different. Obviously looks like a diamond cut whiskey glass or liquor glass. It's plastic cap again, but that's all right. It's got a bit of weight to it. Even though it's not glass, it doesn't feel particularly cheap. Let's give this a little spray. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's a beauty. It is reminding me of single malt from what I can remember. I've not smelled that for a little while. I will compare that in just a second. The whiskey smells beautiful. It smells very close to how the whiskey in an old-fashioned tastes. I really think they've nailed that. Kilian are probably one, if not the best brand that really get boozy fragrances right. They can just do it so well. There's booziness, there's like a smell of, like, I don't know, rye. Do you get rye in whiskey? I'm getting some sort of rounded, deep smell to it. There's woods in here, there's a woodiness. There is some spiciness and fruitiness, a little bit of sharpness, so this is sort of recreating that bitter smell, but it's definitely not a bitter fragrance, nowhere near as sweet as Angel Share, but there is still a nice rounded sweetness to it, just the right amount actually. I would say Angel Share could be a little bit too sickly sweet if you sprayed too much of it, or if you were wearing it all day, perhaps towards the end of the day, it might just be getting a little bit cloying and sickly. So yeah, definitely it didn't need to overspray Angel Share, but I don't think this is going to go into that very sweet, sickly territory at all. It kind of smells like that taste that you're left with in your mouth once you've swallowed the whiskey or the old-fashioned, you know, that slight warming, boozy aftertaste that you get. The more I'm smelling it, the more I'm thinking maybe this is completely different to single malt. It's not just a rehashing of that. I thought I might get a little more of the orange from it, a little more fruitiness. I guess shades of it in there, but I thought it might be a little more noticeable. Maybe it will become more noticeable in the dry down. It is a very beautiful, elegant, refined, rounded, warming, comforting, boozy fragrance that's also got some lift to it. It does have a little bit of punchiness, a little bit of attitude. Not sure if it's staying pretty close to my skin here. I'll test that. I'll come back tomorrow and let you know how the performance of it has been. Maybe if I spray it on clothes, maybe I'll get some decent projection, but I feel like it is quite closer to the skin than Angel Share is on me. And now I've changed my mind. I am reminded of single malt. It keeps changing. I keep getting waves where it smells different and waves where it reminds me of it. So let me do the comparison to see. So far, this first impression, this first smell, it smells great. I am loving this. I think this is a good olfactory recreation of an old-fashioned. I don't know how they would have made it that much better. Maybe just a little more of the orange in there. It smells quality, as you'd expect from Kilian. Really well done, well blended. It's rich, it's opulent, it's very wearable. It's not too complex that it's a challenging wear at all. I think for me, this will be a very, very easy wear. Here is my sample of single malt. No, it's different. Fruitier, not as warming and cozy and comforting as old-fashioned, and actually I really get the oaky whiskey barrel smell to old-fashioned, which I'm not getting quite as much in single malt. They are pretty different. I would say old-fashioned is leaning a bit more masculine for me than single malt. Right, let me give this a full wearing and see how it performs, see how it dries down, all that good stuff, and I'm going to come back and let you know my overall thoughts after living with this for a little bit longer. All right, and we're back 2 days later, and I gotta tell you, I have thoroughly enjoyed wearing this fragrance. This is right up my street, perfectly timed for an autumn release. I think I'm going to be giving this a lot of wear over the next few weeks and even into the winter. What I love most about this, and what I think they've really nailed, is it gives you this realistic oak infused whiskey barrel accord. You get the woodiness of the barrel. It's not a alcoholic smell. It doesn't smell like when you open a whiskey bottle. This smells like a whiskey barrel. It's warm, it's rounded, it's cozy, it's comforting. There's still a bit of energy to it. You still get a little bit of the punchiness that having a little nip of a dram of whiskey gives you, but mainly it's this warm, enveloping, woody, boozy fragrance. So it definitely does remind me of single malt. When I smell this, I am thinking, yeah, that is a very familiar smell. That is the single malt type of smell. It's not exactly the same. There is something a little bit different. I feel it is maybe bassier and warmer and woodier. It doesn't quite have the fruity aspect that single malt had, although there is a little bit of fruitiness there. I feel like maybe what they've done is taken the single malt formula and then just made a few tweaks, made a few changes, taken a few things away, made it perhaps a little deeper, a little richer. There are definite similarities. If you already own single malt, then I would try and get a sample of this, smell it first if you can. It's not exactly the same. I don't think it was intended to be a re-release of single malt, but it's definitely got some similarities. One of the little differences, this one seems to have this sort of boozy mustiness, similar to what Roger Parfum's Enigma has. It doesn't smell like anything like that fragrance, but I always think Enigma has this beautiful boozy mustiness that always makes me think of an old library for some reason. I get that boozy mustiness in this, and that perhaps is why I think that it's a little more mature, the fragrance. I think probably 30 plus would wear this. It's not got that youthful vibrancy. This is a very assured type of scent. It's got confidence, it's got maturity. It's probably going to be worn by someone who's quite worldly wise, has a good bit of life experience. That's the type of person I imagine would wear this fragrance anyway. I'm not saying you have to be that to wear it, but it makes me think of that type of person. It's not as loud as Angel Share. I think I like it probably just as much as Angel Share. That's a fantastic fragrance. It is more subtle. It is a little more reined in, whereas Angel Share might be a little louder, a little shoutier. It might demand attention because of its quite big projection. I'd say this one is sitting back a little bit. It's more laid back. It's got this confidence, and rather than shouting about itself and saying, hey everybody, stop and turn, smell me, look at me, this one is saying, yeah, I'm just sitting back over here, I'm looking cool, I know I'm good, and if you want to really enjoy me, you've got to come in a little closer and get that full blast of the old-fashioned. So as I alluded to, the performance isn't quite the same as Angel Share. It's not as loud, I would say. The longevity is similar to Angel Share, but that initial projection is not as widespread. This is going to be sitting a little closer in, I feel. It is still projecting quite nicely, and I was getting lovely wafts for quite a few hours as I was wearing this fragrance, so it is a different thing. It's doing a different job to Angel Share. It's not filling the room quite as much, but some people prefer a fragrance that is just gonna sit back and settle down a bit more. I have to compare it to other boozy fragrances that I love, and Roger Parfum's Enigma is my favourite fragrance. I think that will always be my favourite boozy fragrance because it isn't just the booze, there's so much more going on with vanilla, with florals. It's a real magic formula, I think. So whilst I think Old Fashioned is brilliant, I still don't think it is as accomplished a fragrance as Enigma, but I don't think that's taking much away from this because in my mind, not many fragrances will ever get close to Enigma. Other boozy favourites of mine are Tom Ford's Tobacco Oud. That has the whiskey in there, but it has a bit more of an animalic nature to it. It's definitely a little more divisive. This is easier to wear, I think, than Tobacco Oud. I also love Nascimato's Baronda. This is a really realistic but slightly creamy type of whiskey. A little livelier, I would say, than Old Fashioned. Old Fashioned definitely sits lower in the scale. It's a bassier fragrance. This is a little more eye-opening, a little more impactful perhaps, and it doesn't have that beautiful whiskey barrel type of woodiness that Old Fashioned has. Another quite recent boozy whiskey fragrance that I enjoy is Givenchy's Gentleman Reserve Privé. This is paired with that lovely powdery iris, the sort of iris we get in the Dior Homme line. So this is more youthful, a little more playful, still has a little bit of maturity to it. I wouldn't say it's a juvenile fragrance at all, but this is a more casual version of a autumnal boozy scent, I would say. So compared to all those other whiskey fragrances, Old Fashioned is more rounded, it's richer, it's more base note heavy. My opinion on Old Fashioned is it's a fantastic woody, boozy whiskey barrel scent that will be perfect for the autumn. If you like cozy boozy scents and you're a fan of Kilian's liquors, then I think you'll be a fan of Old Fashioned too. If you smelled this, let me know what you think of it. I don't think it's yet available to buy in the UK. I purchased this from a French website and it came within 2 days actually. I was really impressed with that. I did have to pay some import taxes, which was £50 extra that I didn't want to spend, but I wanted to get it and I'm glad I've got it because I think I'm going to wear this fragrance a lot. If you enjoyed single malt, or if you never had single malt, then I think definitely look into getting this one. Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this video, if you liked it, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you do all that, I will see you soon for another brand new fragrance review.